is the most bullish month upon us with Bitcoin, as we do go over these statistics with February returns. And contrary to popular belief, February actually much more interesting month than I believe it is October is the one that most people think is the most bullish of all time for all markets. But in this case, I do want to go over the statistics surrounding that, and then also go over the more short term relative to the daily. And other than that, I want to welcome you back to the Krown Crypto channel, and it is time to just jump right on into this analysis. And we can start off with this chart right on over here, looking at all of the Februaries in Bitcoin's past, of which there have been 14 of them. Now, I will say one of those Februaries I was not actually able to calculate, and I'll explain why. It was the first February over here in February 2010. And while it looks like Bitcoin did close up, it was a positive month, we don't really have data on it. If you can look at the top left-hand side over there, it opened at 0, it closed at 1 cent, that is. I decided not to include that just because it's going to fuck with everything else. But we can just keep in mind that the statistics are probably a little bit better than what I'm showing over here. So looking at all prior Februaries, just keeping in mind the 13 of them, out of those 13, 10 of them did close positively, which is actually better than October. October was 9 out of 13. In comparison. Now, in terms of returns, October might be slightly better, but overall, February, not too bad historically speaking as well. For those 10 Februaries that did close positively, the average return was almost 24.25%, which is pretty damn good. On the other side, when February did have losers, there was an average loss of about 17.5%, as you can see right here. So I thought that was actually rather enlightening, kind of contrary to what we've been speaking about on this channel as to what is kind of expected for February. But of course, these are statistics at the end of the day. And while it does give us probabilities, it doesn't give us certainties. So the interesting thing actually, in fact, the more interesting thing about all of this is that all of the monthly statistics have actually been playing out since we really started to get deep and down and dirty into them into middle of last year. So will this one be different? I don't know, but let's just play around with the numbers here. Understanding that the average return of about 24.25%, if we were to add that to, and I should also explain, oh, motherfucker, why is my thing not, what's going on here? Okay. That was very bizarre. My browser wasn't up to it. I was about to have an autistic rage party right there, but looks like we'll survive this day. Anyways, yes, so it does look like Bitcoin's probably going to close somewhere around here, end of month, like let's just say $42,000. Nice, massive, long-legged Doge dildo right there. But if we were to just kind of extrapolate this, assuming that Bitcoin closed somewhere around here, 24.25% to the upside would put Bitcoin in the low 50s, actually 52,500 to be exact. If we did see the average loss play out, maybe 17% on the other side, where would that put Bitcoin? That puts Bitcoin around $35,000, which, in my opinion, probably more likely here. But fair enough. You know, these statistics are what the statistics are. And like I said, since we really started to get, granular with tracking this data last year, they've actually all been playing out pretty much exactly according to what we have been expecting on the average statistics, even as far as average returns, which is just super interesting. It doesn't have to work like that, by the way. Like, obviously, the statistics, you can see over here, there is variance in these results, especially this, the first couple months of positive returns. We saw 50% moves plus. For the other ones, a little bit more muted, around 20%. We do have one a few years ago at 36.5%, but ultimately, I'd say a pretty decent amount less. Anyways, going back into it right here, that would give us an area of interest. Again, coming into next, or not into next February, but into this February, basically between 52.5 and 35 down around here. So I'm just going to mark these areas off so that we can reference them going onwards and forwards. Based off of my prior analyses, I still do think that downside ultimately in February, probably the latter half of February, if I had to guess, is more likely. But anyways, let's now jump into the daily statistics over here, and then we'll go through the daily look as well. And I do want to add that, yes, if you are in the Chart Prime package thing downstairs in the what's it called, description section, you will, if you have not already, be getting this update for the Krown range statistics indicator right here. And there are more indicators coming. Just takes its fucking time, I guess, with the damn developers. But it is what it is. It is what it is, I guess. Anyways, I do believe this one has either already been pushed or is getting pushed today, because I've given it its final like stamp of approval, as all of these do seem to be operating rather well. Anyways, what's very interesting about this is that for Monday, if we look at only Monday starting from when CME started trading, which was basically 2018, let's say, Monday is actually the most likely to be bullish day, not Tuesday. If we look at all the days in Bitcoin's history, Tuesday is actually the most likely to close positively. But going back on over here, 62.5% of all Mondays since CME launched have been closing positively, and there has been an average return of about almost 2.5% on the positive side, and when it did lose, about 30% of an average loss. So looking at what that would kind of correlate to on price action, to the upside, that would be 43,200-ish region. To the downside, that would be, let's see, that would be like 41,200. So probably the range for today. Upside, a little bit I suppose slightly more likely overall. As we do see the oscillator pro start to turn up right here, but I'm not sure how much I trust this indicator. I haven't really been tracking it too much, to be quite frank with you. That is their indicator, which does come a part of the package. I mean, the whole damn thing comes together, and that's also probably a good place for me to say, hey, if you find this content valuable, you don't have to subscribe to this, but you should subscribe to this YouTube channel, because we do videos each and every day. And then if you like these indicators, yeah, go for that as well. All right, sweet. Okay, what's also interesting about this, and this is consistent on both just the full history of Bitcoin and CME, is that Bitcoin on the upside has seen an average of 3 days when it does move to the upside and has more than one consecutive day closing green. It's on average had 3 days that closed green in a row before seeing its next red one. So if we go back on over here, we can see that on CME we actually did see 1-2 days, or actually today is not closed yet, so that doesn't really matter. All right, we'll come back to that one later. Fair enough. Not relevant for this exact moment. Actually, unless if today closes green, then tomorrow probably green as well, is what that would imply. Anyways, going on over here into the HPDR bands, I think that the daily 50% range and median actually pretty much directly correlate with, yeah, they actually pretty much directly correlate with the average daily returns. Keeping in mind that CME does have a premium over spot price action, but the top side of the blue 50% range high is 43,600 right now. The median is 41,200. I could very easily see Bitcoin coming down and testing maybe somewhere around the median today. The real question is Bitcoin close below it or not? If it does, okay, get ready for another retest of these lows, somewhere around 39.5-ish, let's say, maybe even as low as 38.7. I think it's a little bit less likely, but still, Bitcoin more likely to bounce from this region coming up into the open of February. The question is what happens after that, because still, long term here, as long as Bitcoin, as long as it's below the weekly, that's a problem. But as long as it's below the weekly median, especially over here on the index, bounces that fail to close above the median are very likely traps, getting ready for big downside moves into February. We can see right here that the median on the index is 44,500. So that would be the price to beat for the end of this week. 5-day time frame, which closes tomorrow night, has about the same pivot actually as well, a little bit higher to be fair, but ultimately these should be playing hand in hand with each other. So what does that kind of likely align with? In the very, very near term, does Bitcoin play at a short-term downside move? Maybe. I don't have strong opinions on that. My strong opinion is on probably in February we see a test somewhere around 44.5 to 45,000 bucks. If Bitcoin's going to be bearish, we expect a rejection there. We expect a rejection there and to slowly kind of bleed back on out and then take out this low at 38,500, be getting at least a move down to like 34.5 to 35,000 bucks. Maybe, that could be a potential low. And then of course there are potential targets lower based off of our prior analysis. But that also does imply that if Bitcoin does not get rejected at, let's say, 45,000 bucks or wherever the median comes in around on these higher timeframes, like the 5-day and the weekly, currently, 44.5 to 45,000 bucks, and you start to see closures above there. Okay, February probably going to play out in alignment with these statistics that we showed over here, and we're probably going to see a pretty big move into the low 50s. which probably even sets it up for an extension into March. I do still think that that's a lot less likely. I think this is the more likely path that Bitcoin does, but that's a personal opinion. Yes, it is based off of several other things, but as of right now, that's extrapolation, which is inherently subjective. So I do want to separate these sort of things. Anyways, we are 10 minutes into this video, and I think that's probably a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular one. Oh, we have another Bing and Bong over here. Oh, Senor Bing and Mr. Bong are back at it again. Is this going to be a rejection of the 50% and we do come down in the short term? That actually does seem quite likely. Yeah, in the very, very short term, maybe today, we probably do see this one hang back down low, but fair enough. There's something else that I was looking at as well. What was it? Yes. Interestingly enough, on the monthly here for CME, we have met Senor Bing and Mr. Bong, or we've met Senor Bing. That's for fucking sure. Hit the top side of the 50% range high right here, closing on a doji dildo, but Mr. Bong will very likely come in somewhere around the median. And if you're new to this channel, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter. Just continue watching, take off your pants, and get ready. Because that would directly in line with the negative returns that we would expect for February as well at somewhere around 35,000 bucks. So this actually starts to make a lot more sense. Again, assuming Bitcoin closes somewhere like this in the next 2.5 days, basically. So I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off. I expect that we'll have a lot more clear look on this situation on the first day of February. But for now, you can start to see, again, those puzzle pieces kind of aligning themselves in the background, the wheels turning in the background. And, well, I think we'll leave it right there and we'll pick up tomorrow. Yeah, as always, want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully Tuesday.